We have done a lot of work with Foodbank over the years. I think it was an interview that Foodbank actually did with Virginia Trioli during COVID when we realised there was a traffic jam on the Westgate Bridge because that many people were queuing up with Foodbank. So what does a fuel crisis look like for Foodbank Victoria? Dave McNamara is the CEO. Good morning, Dave.
Morning, Raf.
What is it like?
What does it look like?
What's it look like at the moment?
It's pretty dire at the moment. In the last month, we've seen over a 6% surge in demand, mostly from people that have never accessed food relief before. So that means we've moved from 69,000 people we're feeding a day to 73,000 people a day. And that's just the last week. You know, we're getting inundated with calls across our centres in regional Victoria and here in Melbourne of people that have never needed food relief. We had a young lady, Nicole, who's a single mum with 2 kids under 3 and uni educated, trying to find a job. She went to the health service to get her child checked, and that's when she mentioned that she was eating toast and didn't have food for the kids, and came to our market. And it was the first time she'd ever had food relief before. And we're hearing that everywhere we go. So
most of the new people have never been there before?
Yep, that's right. These are, a young tradie who gets $750 a week, and his van now costs him $240 to fill. That's a third of his salary going just to fuel his van. And this is what people are doing. It's their grocery budget that is now fueling their cars.
So people are choosing fuel over food?
Yeah. And in some cases, there was a older gentleman that attended one of our partners in Echuca to get food and then mentioned that he didn't have enough fuel in his car to get home, and they had to give him some money for fuel as well.
What would you tell National Cabinet?
I would say that when you're doing this review of the food supply chain, don't forget that people struggle right now to put food on their table, and you need to consider the food relief sector when you're making your discernments and decisions around what to do. I'd also say that this is a sector that runs on volunteers. Like we at Foodbank, we have over 500 volunteers a week helping us out. Many of them are now telling us that they're going to struggle to be able to continue to come because they can't afford to put the fuel in their car. And if you're in regional, it's even a worse situation because you've got to go further. There are some towns that don't have a supermarket. You have to drive 35, 40 minutes to find a supermarket.
Dave McNamara is the CEO of Foodbank Victoria. You're listening to 774. They've brought forward their winter appeal to today, so you can hear how much demand there is for Dave's, I shouldn't say for Dave's services, for Foodbank's services. Dave works with a whole lot of people at Foodbank. You can go to their website if you want to help out. You can call them, so keep in mind this is not our talkback number, but this is the Foodbank number if you want to help out. It's 1-800-943-005. So you said you wanted National Cabinet to keep you guys in mind.
Yep.
You've got trucks. What are your costs like right now?
Fairly high. Yeah. So, we're talking just our fleet alone, which is mainly doing metro, and then we use third party to help us get across the state. But we're doing around just under 500,000 kilometres a year. So this month, our fuel bill has dramatically increased. But it's not just that, it's food costs as well. One of the primary producers that helps us, and we sometimes purchase off him, 10% increase.
Right.
So in the food cost side of things, we're going to see immediate increases because of fuel.
So does it mean you're not able to give as much food? Does it mean you don't have as much food to give away?
It means that we're going to have to purchase more food. Unfortunately, what might see is that people aren't going to be able to afford fresh produce, and as a result we'll get extra food donated to us, but then we have to get it out. So this is a whole supply chain issue. So we'll spend about $6.5 million this year on food, just because we can't meet the gap with donated food. This will put that price up further because now we have to consider the cost of fuel as well. We're fortunate that we had in the transport industry a lot of pro bono assistance, but that's gone now.
And I mentioned before I introduced you that because people want to come and get food, but maybe they can't because the petrol's too expensive. Is,
Yep.
is that an issue for many people?
It is. We've got people carpooling. Like our food centre in Morwell, 4 people carpooled because they couldn't afford fuel independently, so they carpooled to come and get food. There's people that, even if you take public transport, it means you can't take as much food back because you don't have a boot to put it in. So it impacts people getting to us, and it impacts how much food they can take.
Look, I want to get to people's calls in a moment. I'm curious to know what you'd like National Cabinet to know about how it's affecting you. I just wonder, Dave, it's an important question to ask you because you actually get to chat to politicians from time to time. Do they understand what life is like for some people in the country at the moment? Do you think they get that?
I think so. Everyone I speak to is incredibly sympathetic, and a lot of the members are in their community a lot, so they hear it firsthand. But I still think they're shocked by some of the stories that they hear, and especially because we're able to give a more holistic picture of not just one electorate, but all, 79 electorates.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I talk to you guys all the time, but when you say that people have to carpool in Morwell just to go and pick up food, like, I don't know, that really brings it home to me. I don't have to carpool to go to the supermarket.
No, I know. Yeah, well, you've got a supermarket that's probably within 5-minute drive.
Of course, it's close.
Yeah, but, if you're in some regional towns, that's a 35-minute drive.
Anything else you want people to know?
Look, I think I've heard this a lot, that this is reminiscent of COVID and quite triggering for a lot of people as we're heading into this uncertain time. I just remind everyone that, this is a pretty amazing state in terms of support and what we've been able to get through. And if everyone can just, spare a thought for others at this time, that would be, exemplifying who we are and that light on the hill for the rest of the country, that they should look to Victoria.
Look to the great state of Victoria. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Raf.